Hey folks, well, something's been bugging me for a while and I thought it was time to get this out there and provide some factual information about something that pops up every now and then on LiveLeak and the internet, and I'm sure many of you have heard of it or heard a version of it. And the thing that I refer to is the, quote, secret society speech by John F. Kennedy. You may recognize this clip.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
People who make videos out of this and promote it or post it say that it is proof of a secret society in the government, and then shortly after he made this speech, he was assassinated. Right? These people are lying bastards. They have taken a 19-minute speech and clipped key phrases and sentences out of it and stitched it together to make it seem like he was delivering a message that he never delivered. Kennedy's speech was called "The President and the Press."
I have selected as the title of my remarks tonight, "The President and the Press." Some may suggest that this would be more naturally worded, "The President versus the Press," but those are not my sentiments tonight.
It was delivered to the American Newspaper Publishers Association in New York City on April 27, 1961. The speech started out with a long introduction that gave the speech background and context, and something that is grossly omitted from the conspiracy promoters' version.
My topic tonight is a more sober one, of concern to publishers as well as editors. I want to talk about our common responsibilities in the face of a common danger. The events of recent weeks may have helped to illuminate that challenge for some, but the dimensions of its threat have loomed large on the horizon for many years.
The events of recent weeks, he says. You hear that phrase? Those events he refers to is the failed Bay of Pigs invasion. Now, 10 days earlier, on April 17th, among the logistical hiccups was the fact that the U.S. press reported on the preparations being made in Miami, and Castro read about it in the newspaper. So Kennedy was addressing the Newspaper Publishers Association to bring the awareness to the press that their responsibility is not only to inform the public, to be sensitive to national security issues. This wasn't about exposing the New World Order or some other stupidity like that. It was an appeal to the only industry in the U.S. that has a constitutional protection of rights. And I've given the links to the actual speech transcript and recording, and I encourage people to explore those and learn that the idiots making these videos are trying to use a great man's words for purposes that they were never intended. Now here is the main body of his clip. Have a good one.
But the facts of the matter are that this nation's foes have openly boasted of acquiring through our newspapers information they would otherwise hire agents to acquire through theft, bribery, or espionage. The details of this nation's covert preparations to counter the enemy's covert operations have been available to every newspaper reader, friend and foe alike. That the size, the strength, the location, and the nature of our forces and weapons, and our plans and strategy for their use, have all been pinpointed in the press and other news media to a degree sufficient to satisfy any foreign power, and that in at least one case, the publication of details concerning a secret mechanism whereby satellites were followed required its alteration at the expense of considerable time and money. The newspapers which printed these stories were loyal, patriotic, responsible, and well-meaning. Had we been engaged in open warfare, they undoubtedly would not have published such items. But in the absence of open warfare, they recognized only the tests of journalism and not the tests of national security. And my question tonight is whether additional tests should not now be adopted. That question is for you alone to answer. No public official should answer it for you. No governmental plan should impose impose its restraints against your will. But I would be failing in my duty to the nation in considering all of the responsibilities that we now bear and all of the means at hand to meet those responsibilities if I did not commend this problem to your attention and urge its thoughtful consideration. On many earlier occasions I have said, and your newspapers have constantly said, that these are times that appeal to every citizen's sense of sacrifice and self-discipline. They call out to every citizen to weigh his rights and comforts against his obligations to the common good. I cannot now believe that those citizens who serve in the newspaper business consider themselves exempt from that appeal. I have no intention of establishing a new office of war information to govern the flow of news. I am not suggesting any new forms of censorship or new types of security classifications. I have no easy answer to the dilemma that I have posed and would not seek to impose it if I had one. But I am asking the members of the newspaper profession and the industry in this country to re-examine their own responsibilities, to consider the degree and the nature of the present danger, and to heed the duty of self-restraint, which that danger imposes upon us all. Every newspaper now asks itself, with respect to every story, is it news? All I suggest is that you add the question, is it in the interest of national security? And I hope that every group in America, unions and businessmen and public officials at every level, will ask the same question of their endeavors and subject their actions to this same exacting test.